Hey friend! Quick check-in before we dive deep. The quarterback picture is the single biggest roster drama right now, and everything in this Dallas Morning News-inspired projection points to Dallas keeping 3 quarterbacks into the regular season. You and I both know that sounds wasteful on paper, but hear me out. With Dak Prescott back as the unquestioned starter, the Cowboys have to balance emergency depth with roster flexibility, and that's why you're seeing names beyond Dak, namely Joe, Milton, and Will Grier, plus that recent veteran signing for depth. Milton's preseason has been a real mixed bag. Flashes of arm strength and some deep, jaw-dropping throws, but also moments where the ball looks a little too loose, and decisions are, frankly, suspect. Grier, on the other hand, has quietly shown the sort of command and decision-making that makes him comfortable as a QB2 in a pinch. He's the kind of backup you'd want if you're conservative and value ball security. Now, the A, projections inclusion of an extra veteran quarterback, that little depth insurance policy, is a signal you should notice. A third QB costs you a spot that could be an offensive lineman, a defensive lineman, a roster-worthy special teamer, or an extra receiver, and that roster math matters come week 1 when you're trimming down. So think about it this way. Do you want the peace of mind of experienced QB depth, or do you prefer an extra body elsewhere to help win one-score games? Put your answer in the comments. Vote yes if you'd keep 3 QBs, no if you'd rather cut it to 2, and tell me in one sentence who you'd rather see as the clear QB2 if Dak misses time, Milton, Grier, or a veteran we bring in. I'll read a few of those in the next chapter and call out the best takes. Quick reminder, if you're getting value from this breakdown, hit like and subscribe and tap notifications. We're pushing hard to hit 16,000 subscribers, and every new subscriber helps us keep rolling with these roster takes and breaking news. One more quick thought. Keeping 3 quarterbacks might be conservative, but with injuries and how quickly NFL depth charts can change, sometimes that conservative move is the one that saves a season. If you think the Cowboys should instead trade Milton now for draft capital while his stock still exists, type trade in the comments. I want to see how many fans would move him for pieces. Okay? That's the QB snapshot. Let's move on to the running back room. Because honestly, this is one area where depth, talent, and roster math collide in a way that could make or break how the Cowboys manage the regular season. Right now, you're looking at Javonte Williams, Phil Maffa, Jaden Blue, and Hunter Luepke, with Deuce Vaughn and even Cavante Turpin occasionally lining up as a back. Now, Miles Sanders was in the mix, but with his lingering minor injury, he hasn't factored much into this 53-man projection. What's interesting here is how the Cowboys balance a traditional 1-2 punch versus a crowded roster. Phil Maffa has flashed explosiveness in preseason, even if some of his best runs were called back due to flags. Those 5- and 6-yard burst plays show a runner who can cut, accelerate, and make something happen. Jaden Blue brings the home run potential. He's the kind of guy you hand the ball to when you want to stretch a defense vertically. Javonte, of course, is the reliable workhorse who keeps defenses honest. And then there's Hunter Luepke. A fullback in today's NFL is almost a luxury, but he contributes on special teams and in goal line scenarios. The question is, do you keep him, or do you let the younger, faster RBs take those roster spots? And don't forget, with 3 quarterbacks already occupying roster spots, the Cowboys have to be extra judicious. Each extra RB could mean trimming depth elsewhere. Here's where you come in. I want to know which RB you think makes the 53. Is it Javonte, Phil, Jaden, or Deuce? Type their name in the comments. I'll be checking which of you are riding with the right depth strategy. Also, give this video a like if you're enjoying this breakdown, and remember to subscribe. Hitting 16,000 subs is our next big milestone, and your support makes these deep dives possible. One more thing to think about. Roster spots are precious, and having a 3-man QB room plus a 3-man RB rotation could be just right to balance versatility and explosiveness. But if you were calling the shots, Would you stack the backfield with 4 or 5 players to cover every possible injury scenario, or keep it lean and let your starters absorb most of the workload? Drop a quick yes, no vote in the comments. Yes if you like a stacked RB room, no if you want it lean. This running back core sets the tone for how the Cowboys can move the ball consistently, mix in explosive plays, and manage wear and tear across the season. Now let's talk about the wide receiver room, because this is where roster depth and injuries really start to shake things up. At the top, you have your clear stars, CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, who are going to carry the offense week in and week out. Kevontae Turpin is versatile, lining up both in the slot and occasionally in the backfield, which adds a little extra value. But the real story is what happens behind them. Jonathan Mingo suffered a PCL injury, which creates openings for players like Treshaun Holden and Jalen Brooks to step up. I've been keeping an eye on Holden all off-season, and he has the potential to bring a Dez Bryant-like explosiveness to the field, similar to how George Pickens operates. Ryan Flournoy also has some intriguing traits, and while he's not a star yet, if he emerges as a reliable WR4, that could make a huge difference for Dak and the passing game. Then there's Jalen Tolbert, solid, but in a crowded room, he might have to fight just to see meaningful snaps. The Cowboys are balancing talent, special teams, contributions, and potential breakout performances to decide who stays on the 53. This is also where injuries to players like Mingo really matter. The team can't just stash talent on the practice squad. They need guys ready to contribute immediately. Here's a quick question for you. Should the Cowboys keep Treshaun Holden over Mingo once everyone is healthy? Type yes. If you're riding with Holden, no. If you'd rather see Mingo back. And while you're at it, drop a bold WR prediction in the comments. Who do you think will have the breakout season? Maybe it's Holden, maybe Flournoy, or even someone unexpected like Turpin making a few key plays. Don't forget, your engagement helps this channel grow, so hit like and make sure you're subscribed to follow all the latest roster updates as they happen. Every new subscriber pushes us closer to 16,000, and we want Cowboys fans everywhere in the discussion. The wide receiver room is a perfect example of how injuries, potential, and depth intersect to make roster decisions really exciting and challenging. Let's shift focus to the tight end room and the offensive line, because these are the foundational pieces that make the offense function smoothly. Starting with the tight ends, Jake Ferguson and Schoonmaker are your clear starters, with Princeton Fant and Beyond Spence providing depth. Fant has already flashed some big plays in preseason and camp, which is exactly what you want from a fourth tight end. Someone who can step in, make an impact, and potentially earn a spot on the practice squad if needed. Keeping a solid TE rotation is crucial, especially when balancing 3 quarterbacks on the roster, because it gives the offense flexibility in both the passing game and red zone situations. Moving to the offensive line, you've got your core starters: Tyler Smith, Tyler Guyton, Cooper Beebe, Tyler Booker, and Terrence Steele. Behind them are Nate Thomas, Brock Hoffman, Akeem Ajendi, and TJ Bass, rounding out the depth chart. Even with 3 quarterbacks taking roster spots, this O-line is strong and versatile, and the depth allows the Cowboys to weather injuries while keeping the young core intact. Tyler Smith remains one of the strongest guards in the league, and Tyler Guyton's development has been encouraging, which should stabilize the line. Terrence Steele continues to excel as a run blocker, and Cooper Beebe's mechanics and dynamics give confidence that he can handle his assignments effectively. One thing to watch. Here is how quickly returning players come back to full strength. That timeline could influence which depth pieces make the final roster. Here's a question for you. If you could add one offensive lineman to this roster, who would it be? Type their name in the comments. It's always interesting to see how fans value different positions. And as always, hit like and subscribe if you're enjoying this in-depth roster breakdown. Helping us reach 16,000 subscribers keeps this channel delivering timely Cowboys analysis straight to you. Solid tight end and offensive line play is what enables Dak to thrive, keeps the running game consistent, and ensures receivers get the protection they need. With this kind of depth and talent, the Cowboys are setting themselves up for a strong start to the season. Now let's wrap this up by taking a deep dive into the defensive side of the ball, the specialists, and some final takeaways for the projected 53-man roster. Starting with the defensive line, you've got stars like Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, Solomon Thomas, and Sam Williams leading the way, alongside Mazi Smith, Jay Tuiota, Marshawn Neon, Dante Fowler, Donovan Ezra, Peyton Turner, and Perion Winfrey. This group has the potential to create serious pressure on opposing quarterbacks, but the real question is how they handle run-heavy teams with big offensive lines. There's a fascinating debate between Mazi Smith and Jay Tuiota. Some fans prefer Tuiota for his energy and run-stopping ability, while Mazi offers experience. Let me know in the comments who you'd rather see on the field. Moving to linebackers, Jack Sanborn, Keith Murray, Mars Lay, Dion Clark, and Shamir James form a young athletic core with Overshown returning to anchor the unit. These guys have shown flashes of dominance in camp, and their development will be critical as the season unfolds. In the secondary, the cornerback room features Dante Bland, Kadar Elam, and Israel Mukwamu at the top, with Hall, Zion, Childress, Kalen Carson, and Josh Butler rounding out depth. Once Trevin Diggs and Siobhan Revel return from injury, some of these guys may move to the practice squad, but the depth is solid and competitive. Safety play is anchored by Malik Hooker, Donovan Wilson, Jawan Thomas, and Maris Bell. Consistent, reliable, and rarely hurt, these safeties provide stability to the defensive backfield. For specialists, Brandon Aubrey handles kicking duties, Brian Anger is on punting, and Trent Sieg manages the long snapping. And finally, an additional veteran quarterback, Michael O, adds emergency depth in case injuries hit the QBs early. When you step back and look at the roster as a whole, Dak at quarterback, a strong running back duo, top-tier receivers, a versatile tight end group, a young and capable offensive line, a dynamic defensive front, depth in the secondary, and reliable specialists. This roster has the balance and talent to compete at a high level. So here's my question. For you, what's the biggest X factor on this team? D-line pressure, cornerback depth, wide receiver breakout, or quarterback depth? Drop your vote in the comments and let's see where the fans are placing their confidence. And of course, if you haven't already, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Reaching 16,000 subscribers will let us keep delivering these detailed, fan-focused roster breakdowns. Cowboys Nation, this is the team Brian Schottenheimer has crafted under pressure, blending veterans with young talent, and I feel confident with Dak Prescott leading the charge, CeeDee Lamb as a cornerstone, and Micah Parsons anchoring the defense. Stick with us because the season is about to get real, and we'll keep you updated on every injury, depth chart move, and breakout player along the way.